Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris back with CAC Knives here with another knife review slash knife overview. Today we have the KB or Kubey Stroller. KB is a name they use for their more premium knives. Here is the model number, and as you can see, the knife is in 20 CV full titanium, including the hardware. It includes Timascus pivot colors and Camo carbon overlays or inlays. Suppose it would be an inlay since it goes in, right? On both sides of this knife. This knife also is DLC coated and has 4 means of deployment. You got the regular flipper. You have the reverse flick thanks to the fuller, which also gives you the thumb flick, which I'm not usually the greatest at. And it also has a front flipper, which I'm also not usually the greatest at, but I got it out there that time. It also features a very unique kind of mix between a bolster and frame lock, and since the inlay here, it acts as a guard against you like opening the knife and having your hand on the lock bar there. Whenever I want to go to flip it, my hand gets in this position. And as you can see there, if that carbon fiber wasn't there, I would be touching the lock mechanism. And that is a weakness of frame locks. If you're holding a frame lock, you got to keep your fingers above that lock. But since it has that carbon fiber there, I'm not on the lock when I want to flip it open, and it's no issue. And that is great, and that is the advantage of a bolster lock. If you want to see our true bolster lock, let's take a look at this Jack Wolf knife here. See how you can only see some of the lock? Well, that's because when you disengage, you're going to disengage right there where you can see it. But when you go flick the knife open, you don't got to worry about touching that lock, because bolster locks pretty much have the advantage of frame locks and liner locks put together, making them one of my favorite, or probably my favorite, bottom of the knife style locking mechanism. But anyways, let's get into this knife. Now, it looks like an integral, but it actually isn't. Kind of hard to tell, but the back spacer is its own piece. It's a little easier to tell on the top there. Let's see if we can get that to focus. See on the top there, you can tell it's not one piece there. But it looks pretty dang close to an integral. It does have a very unique titanium pocket clip, which I will say works just fine. As far as I can tell, it looks like you can reverse this and just, you know, maybe use that screw over here, I would guess, which is a very clever design. The camo carbon looks great. It is blue and purple. It's hard to see camo carbon sometimes because the carbon fiber is so good. It's hard to see the colors sometimes. Carbon fiber is amazing. Camo carbon is my favorite carbon fiber company. I do have another example here of the 80s camo carbon, but this one is the blue and purples, and I must say it goes very well with this blue, purple, and gold coloring Timascus pivot rings. I do wish they'd have made those a little bigger, but that's okay. At least the knife company is doing a lot of things that I like, which is including a lot of unique features to the knife. And we will get into that. Before we go over the initial review, let's get some size comparisons, and I will talk about the length of this thing. It is a 7.68 inch overall knife with a 3.35 inch blade, which is pretty good. That's about what I like. Let's bring out some average EDC knives here, which are a little smaller. So this knife is a little bit larger than what I call average EDC. This is the Ontario Ret 2 and the QSP Penguin. These are very common EDC knives. So as you can see, it's a little bit longer, not much, but just a little bit longer than both of these. Let's take away the Rat and the Elementum. Just a little bit longer than average. We can swap these because sometimes the camera's at a little bit of an angle. Can be a tad bit misleading on some of those things, but as you can see, a little bit longer than average, right? And then let's bring out the other Kubey knife in my collection, the Nova, that I have done a review on. These crazy looking scales here were done by Colin and Colin's Crazy Creation, purple and gold. Go check him out if you ever need some crazy carving and anno work done. He does a very good job. Let's go ahead and bring that knife out that I had out earlier. The Jack Wolf Knives Bionic Jack, pretty new release right at the end of 2024. So yeah, this knife is shorter than both of those, but it also is a little bit thicker than both of those. So very nice knife overall. I do like it a lot. Let's get into the review. So I go over a 5-step process when I review knives, and I grade them out of 10 for each step. So the first step is fit and finish, and this thing is superb fit and finish wise. I see no issues. Everything is perfectly lined up. No cuts were done, opposite, I should say. And what I mean by that is when you look at things like this, all the cuts are perfectly symmetrical, which I expect on production knives. Not so much on customs, but on production, I definitely expect it. Everything looks squared up to me, and as far as I can tell, there is no hot spots, no issues. Jimping is good everywhere. And this knife is a pleasure not only to hold, but to carry. And they even get a little bit of swedge in the blade for you to choke up on. So fit and finish, 10 out of 10. Price for the materials / the work. Well, this is kind of a new category. This isn't something we've seen much of. Okay, 20 CV super steel. So to me, with a full titanium and a super steel, and to me super steels are 20 CV M390, you know, 90 SV, and steels like that. Those are super steels to me. They are the highest ranking, highest category. Damas steel is another good example of a super steel. Probably the most expensive one is Damas steel. When I hear that in full titanium, the knife is going to be 99% of the time $150 minimum. Okay, this knife, I don't know if it still goes for this price because I got it when it dropped and Kubey was having kind of online, I don't know if there was Black Friday sale, before Christmas sale, something like that, and I got it for $210. I do believe the price went up a little bit after that, so we're going to use the price of $225 for the purposes of this video. And when I hear titanium and S90V, I'm putting a minimum flat $150 on it, no matter where it's made. Full titanium and S90V are premium materials, and they deserve a premium price. However, when we add Camo carbon, we add Timascus pivot rings, okay, we're going to be upping those price numbers. I actually think, you know, between 200 and 230 is spot on, and that's where this knife is priced at, and I have zero problems with that. Here's the other knife I was going to bring out that I have in Camo carbon. This is done by Concept, and it's a lot smaller of a knife. As you can see, this is the Little Main Street, and this knife in full Camo carbon, titanium hardware, titanium clip, and S35EN, which price-wise is a step under 20 CV, not to mention this knife is half the size of this one. This knife comes in a little over 120 bucks, okay? So we're talking about a knife that's about $100 more, twice the size, adds Timascus, and upgrades the blade steel. I think this knife is priced spot on. Both of those knives are made in China, using similar companies and similar processes, okay? So price for the materials, 10 out of 10. Smooth action and fidgetivity, oh, you know this is going to get a 10 out of 10 because this knife opens in dang near every way you wish it could, unless you're like a button lock person. How many more ways should we put on this knife to open it? I mean, no matter what way you like to open a knife, it's there. And since it is left carry friendly, the fuller makes it perfect for either side. If you're a left-handed person, you'll be able to reverse flip this knife with ease. So yeah, no problems there. Also, if you're a left-handed person, besides the lock, you know, it looks the same on both sides as well. So even if you switch this clip around, this knife's going to look dang near exactly the same, which is awesome. So yeah, smooth action and fidgetivity, 10 out of 10. Ease of carry and lightweight. Well, the weight is 4.31 ounces, which I think for a knife above average size isn't too bad. I know a lot of people are picky about blade length and weight ratios. It is about 1 ounce over in that regard. I personally don't care about that. This knife carries perfectly in my pocket. You look at the clip and you know, you're seeing them ridges, you're like, oh, those might mess it up. They have not done anything to my pockets. I've wore this with jeans. I've also wore this with sweatpants, and not once have these ridges caught on my pocket. They're simply there for design aesthetic, to match the back spacer, match the ridging on the bottom to give you better grip, because these handles are pretty smooth, but since you got that jimping up top here and on the blade, jimping on the bottom, your grip on this knife is strong. This jimping down under really helps and does not carve into your hand. Even when I squeeze this super tight, it does not carve into my hand. And the clip just kind of matches that jimping. And I have zero problem getting this in and out of the pocket. Where it's on the camo carbon, it just slides right in and out. Doesn't hold up, but doesn't fall out. It's perfect. So, and considering the size of the knife, I don't really notice it much in my pocket. It does not get in the way of things like my phone and stuff like that if they're in the same pocket. So ease of carry, 10 out of 10. The fact that it has a titanium clip does not hurt it either. So let's move on to the last category. Easy to maintain and easy to sharpen. Well, we got a simple curve. There is no recurve on that blade, so good job, Kubey. Please, nobody add a recurve on their blades ever, unless you're doing it literally to just kind of look cool, in which case it should have a decent recurve. And the easy to maintain, well, we got 2 screws here, and you know, as far as I can tell, there's probably 2 screws for the back spacer as well. Let's see how many I see in there. Maybe just 1 for the back spacer on both sides. Yeah, I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure this back spacer goes in deep. Yeah, can you see it there on the back where it ends right here? Pretty sure. Oh, nope, I'm wrong. It goes around that screw. So there is just 1 screw on each side holding this back spacer in. It's up here. I'm surprised it's not loose, but I guess it's where it's sunk into the construction. The metal's kind of coming on both sides so it doesn't move. That's interesting. Very cool design. I really like this design. But you're going to have 2 screws, pivot screw, and then 2 screws here if you want both, you know, both of these camo carbon inlays disassembled, but I don't really think you need that. And then you're going to have a screw for the back spacer if you want it off. So pretty easy to maintain and clean, real easy. I'm very impressed with this knife, guys. It gets a 10 out of 10 from me. It does come in some other color options. I'm pretty sure the blade steel is all the same on them all, and all of them have the Timascus pivot rings, but the camo carbon does change, and this one's DLC coated. You can get them in, you know, satin, I'm sure, and another kind of blade steel. But really the reason you're probably getting this is for the combination of it being, you know, for a user knife, somebody's going to also get this for looks, because this thing will hold up the test of time while still looking amazing, and I really love that. I also I do like the color that they did this titanium, this kind of worn finish. It looks really nice. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments, guys. Do you like this knife? Are you going to be picking this one up? It should still be available now, but honestly, the way this one looks, I think this one will sell out eventually. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I would pick it up sooner rather than later if you're going to get this one. But that will do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.